So, wanted to talk quickly about fawning and freezing. Actually, in a group I'm in, sister just shared a post. It's on Instagram actually, and it was talking about how there's a good girl conditioning out there, and basically, as young women, young girls, we're conditioned to be ladylike. Is what I summarize it as. Have good manners, be polite, um, those type of things. But how what it leads to is this idea that we don't really put really good boundaries up. We let people say what they want to say. It's unladylike for you to stand up for yourself. And if you do it in a way so that doesn't offend. And there's all these other little things. And so, I'm like, And so I sat with that for a little while. A couple of seconds of it, just like, how, as a young woman, and then now as a grown woman, have I been affected by that? Have I been judging other women by that or myself? Or just like, have I adopted that standard? Have I assimilated that mentality into my own life? And yeah, and if you know me, know that I'm usually smiling and I'm probably quiet. And I'm smiling even if I'm not happy. I'm smiling even if I'm angry. I'm just smiling. And people have commented on like, you always smile. And I'm like, yeah. And really for me, as I grew up, it was a defense mechanism to smile because I don't know how far I'm gonna take it. I may say something, and I never saw it as fawning, so that I guess I should put some context on those words. Even when you hear the word fawn, it kind of reminds me of like a female deer, which there might be a doe, but whatever. I think baby deer. I think something cute and cuddly and very non-confrontational. And freezing is, I guess you just don't say nothing at all. I think I've mastered doing both at the same time, where not only do I not say anything, but you think everything's okay because I just look at you and smile. Um, and over the years, I've gotten better about not just freezing and fawning, maybe just picking one or the other. So sometimes I just get real quiet, but I don't smile. Sometimes I just smile. But especially in my occupation, the way you say things determine a lot. And it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and just all these little things we say. And while that may all be good and true, back to my original point about this freezing and fawning thing, and how I've personally adopted it and assimilated it for a very long time into relationships, friendships, work situations. Yeah, so part of it is, the things you're exposed to. So for me, part of it, I would say, was environment. Watching different women in my life, um, you know, I don't really like the word victim too much, so I'm thinking through what I will say. But being dealt violence at the hands of men or partners, violence in relationships, just all of this kind of stuff that I'm not really for it. So if there is one thing that I'm very adamant about is I'm not being with anybody who puts their hands on me. It's not a thing. If you have a really bad temper, we probably can't be together. You raise your voice, I'm usually gonna just end the conversation. Just like I'm not putting myself in places and spaces where you think that that's gonna be okay. So what I will say though is that's toxic. It is very toxic, in my opinion, one, to teach anyone, but especially young women, to fawn or freeze is a very toxic trait to develop and hold on to, because what happens is it's toxic to you, like as the person. So as an individual who has done it, it's toxic to me, but it's toxic because then the people you're in relationships with, and I'm talking friendships, co-workerships, never really get a good sense of what your boundaries are and if they're violating them. And it can lead to passive aggressive communication where you just nod in your head, but really on the inside, you're like, I'm not doing this. I don't know how much longer I'm doing this. And it actually alters your behavior. It alters a lot of things. And so what I would say is, as a recovering fawner, I still do smile from time to time, even in situations where I may be uncomfortable, or situations where I'd rather be saying something, because I have not mastered how to say what I want to say in ways that are tolerable or appropriate. I'll say for the situation I'm in. So, for instance, there's times where I will just say what I'm thinking, usually outside of work. So, case in point, years ago, I was in the grocery store with some friends of mine. We were actually going to visit a different friend, and another person in the store was like extremely close to me. I am from the north. I care about personal space, even though we are like good about cramming into a train and a subway. When we're not doing that, I want my personal space. So we'll say this guy was 6 inches, and this is before COVID, but he was about 6 inches from my back pocket, and I just couldn't understand what was happening. So instead of addressing him and saying, hey, can you back up some, I turned to the people I came in the store with and I said, did we come in here with him? Is there a reason he in my back pocket? It was funny to me, but that's toxic. It is not very healthy communication. I could have just simply said, hey, sir, can you give me a little bit of space? I chose to be passive aggressive and probably even like sarcastic, just all kind of things that could have been handled better in that situation. And I bring that up simply to say it's something that if you're doing it, recognize it and work on just being a better communicator and a more direct communicator. Because that's the other thing that happens. In my opinion, aren't very good at direct communication. And I'm too old to be, talking to people in roundabout ways and things like that. And I am raising a generation of people. I get on here and I speak to y'all very much from my heart, but I also realize that I have an impact in this world, and I'm meant to have an impact in this world, so I need to get really good at my communication. As far as some other ways that I feel like it's really toxic is you just get very accustomed to allowing people to do the things they want to do. And what happens is then you don't know what you want because you've been so accustomed to, yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with this. I'm cool with that. And you don't really ever figure out the things you're not cool with, or you go along to get along so long that you just a melting pot of other people's ideas, melting pot of other people's boundaries, a melting pot of it's just an interesting place to be emerging from, but looking back it's like ooh, yeah, definitely some work to be done there. I'm glad to say that I'm in with a group of women, though, that this is the kind of stuff we talk about. Like on a daily basis, we are encouraging each other. We are not necessarily intentionally saying, hey, I saw this in you, so here's something to work on. But it's like sharing things that speak to us or sharing things that are personal to us. And then somebody else might be like, you know what, damn, that's me too. And it's just a really healthy place to be. And I'll say it's much more healthy than being in places where you just talk about other people. This is definitely a healing place for me. So that's my take on fawning versus freezing. And definitely got myself in some situations using the fawning versus freezing method versus the assertiveness method. And so some areas where I'll say I've been assertive is, in relationships these days with talking to people about certain things. We're not doing that anymore. And learning how to say, we not doing that anymore without it having that negative connotation to it, but also not being concerned with how someone is going to take everything I say. So that's the other part of it. I'll say you can develop an unhealthy attachment to other people's disappointments. And so then you start to worry about, if I say this, is it going to upset this person? And it's like, well, what if it upsets me? How about we start there? How do I feel about it? Does it upset me? And so I'll offer that to anyone out there who either knows someone who does it, recognizes it in themselves, is raising, a child, and you're going over how we act and all those different things, that just be mindful. Be mindful. If you're interested in the Instagram post, hit me up and I will definitely send it to you. Y'all stay blessed. This is still day 1 of 28 to 38. So talk to y'all later.